welcome to the Hot Seat. Once more this week, on location in a suburb of Colombo. And we are the guest today, of Mr. Merrill J. Fernando, the chairman of the MJF Group of Companies, the owners of the Dilmah tea brand. Good evening, Mr. Fernando, and thank you for having us here.
Thank you. Thank you very much for getting me on your program for us.
Thank you. Mr. Fernando, I want to ask you, as the grand old man of Sri Lankan tea, of Ceylon tea, I need to ask you this question. Why the concern after the announcement in the budget that Sri Lanka is ready to permit the importation of tea? Why the concern?
I don't know what the government considers, what reasons they are considering this.
Right.
But my concern is that it will be the end of our tea industry.
Right.
Because Ceylon tea is respected as the finest quality in the world.
Right.
And we produce 325 million kilos of tea approximately. Every kilo of that tea is sold at the highest prices in the world. Mm-hmm. So we have no problem for producers or for exporters.
Right.
In the exporters group, there are three categories.
Right.
One is the traditional exporters, old established exporters like Akbar Brothers, Jafferji Brothers, Stassen, and the MJF group of companies who have worked very hard to market value-added teas for last so many years. And all of us oppose this for one reason. Because Ceylon tea is known as the finest in the world, and if it is priced correctly, you get the business. Then there is another group of traders who have no attachment to the economy, to the plantations, or to tea itself. They are traders. They don't mind where they get the tea from and who they sell it to, and they want to make a profit.
Right.
Now that's the group that is trying for making this a trading center. They are so unwise, so foolish that if you get into the playground of the multinationals, you will burn not only your fingers, you will burn yourselves and burn the tea industry also.
And the value of the Ceylon tea brand.
Value of Ceylon tea they will destroy, because multinational companies, the global brands, big brands, they have no quality commitment.
It's a mass market.
It's a mass market, just cheap. If we go in there, if our exporters go in there and sell, say if the market price is $5, if we sell at, our exporters sell at 4, they will bring it down to 3. And if our people come down to 3, they will bring it to 2. Because that is the multinational strategy in keeping competition away. They will fight you on price on the shelf. These boys who are talking about making Sri Lanka a cheap trading center, instead of capitalizing on its image as the high value added trading center, they will burn their fingers.
So let me get this right. What happens when you import tea? What will they do? Will they mix it with a very insignificant amount of Ceylon tea and then call it Sri Lankan blend?
Well, they will call it Sri Lankan blend of tea, because I will give you an example. If the government or all of us get together and set up a super blending and packaging center in Dubai and tell them we will give you free freight to Dubai, go and do it to Dubai, they will never consider it. They want to do it here.
Why?
Because the link is Sri Lanka. Consumers, when they see any tea, say packed in Sri Lanka or whatever the blend of Sri Lanka, to them it is Ceylon tea.
Right.
And that at $2-3, whereas the good quality Ceylon tea is at $5-6, then consumers will begin to wonder can this be Ceylon tea so cheap? They will, apart from the big traders, multinationals, who will knock them out of existence on pricing, consumers will lose faith in Ceylon tea.
I see. To talk about a storm in a teacup or a real storm in the tea industry, we'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to the hot seat. A storm in a teacup, or is it a bit more than that? Joining us today is Mr. Merrill J. Fernando, the founder chairman of the MJF group of companies, the owners of the Dilmah tea brand. Mr. Fernando, is it a storm in a teacup, or is it something much more than that?
It's far more than that. It is the future of the Ceylon tea industry, in my view, and in the view of senior exporters like those I mentioned, who have been in this business for a long time.
And how long have you been in this business?
65 years.
So you know a thing or two about the tea trade?
I know a fair amount about tea.
Okay.
And most importantly, I know marketing conditions in every important market in the world. We sell Dilmah tea there, market there, I study market conditions. We promote and advertise in all those countries, so I have a fair knowledge of the subject.
And talking about marketing and so on, how much does your group spend in financial
Yes,
terms?
we spend on Dilmah tea, single origin, 100% pure Ceylon tea, marketing it as the finest tea on earth. That is, we are marketing finest Ceylon tea. Dilmah is just a carrier of that message. So it is finest Ceylon tea. We spent 1.5 to 2 billion rupees every year.
Right, so that's a little bit around the $10 million mark.
Yes, we spent about $12 million.
Right. So why is it that there's a section of people who appear to be not proud of brand Ceylon tea?
No, there are many people who are proud of Ceylon tea, but those are not in the tea trade outside.
I see.
But in the tea trade, there are people, as I said, I mentioned a few names, who rely on Ceylon tea and who have built their fortunes on Ceylon tea and protect Ceylon tea. Then there are others, for example, the traders. Now, whenever Dilmah goes into a market, opens it up, promotes Ceylon tea, they go sell at half the price of Dilmah or even less. They don't survive 6 months.
Right.
Because if it is good Ceylon tea, consumer expects to pay a high price. That is the secret of Dilmah. Because Ceylon tea, the finest in the world, is the highest price in the market. If I sold it at the mass market brand prices, I wouldn't have survived. Dilmah wouldn't have survived 6 months. So, tea trade is a very strange trade.
Right. The country exports 325 million, is it?
Million kilos.
Million kilos of tea
Every year.
And it's almost always sold at the top end of the market?
Prices. Highest
Right.
prices.
And how much is your share of that?
My share is about 10 million.
Right.
It is slowly growing for high value tea.
Right.
We are very happy with what we are doing.
And at 10 million, you are the largest single
origin, high priced Ceylon.
Single origin, is that a term that you coined?
That I coined, but as usual, there are several others who are copying it, but they would respect the image and the quality. But that's our trade.
And your group is involved in the tea industry in its complete form?
Yes, I would say we are the only vertically integrated company in the tea industry. From plantations, we own Forbes and Walker Limited, and a brand that takes Ceylon tea to the world.
How proud of you of your brand?
I'm very proud of it, because not only I know several friends, even and well-wishers, who write to me and tell me when they meet, we are proud of you, what you are doing for Dilmah. Imagine, when did Ceylon tea get into almost all the airlines in the Asia Pacific region? Every single airline.
Like?
They are there. 5-star hotels around the world.
You can name these airlines. We don't
Yes.
allow it normally, but you can.
Thank you. Air New Zealand, Qantas, Japan Airlines, Malaysian Airlines, Thai Airways, Emirates, Qatar, Etihad, Oman Air, KLM,
Right.
LOT, and
So the list
a few
is
others.
quite extensive.
yes, and the people who travel, they'll come and tell me, I am proud of you for what you are doing for Ceylon tea.
So, Mr. Fernando, I'm going to ask you this question straight up. Are you opposed to this proposal by the finance minister in this budget to permit the importation of tea and therefore the blending? Are you doing, is your opposition driven by some sort of desire to protect your brand?
There is no harm done to my brand, but on the contrary, it will strengthen my brand because it has been established as single origin pure Ceylon tea. And for 28 years, it has maintained its quality standards, and we are a global brand.
Right.
And it will get stronger because when consumers around the world taste this new tea at the cheap price, they will strengthen the position of Dilma. My opposition is to save our tea industry, to save 4 million people employed in the tea industry. And it is not only my opposition, as I said, the biggest players in the tea export business are completely opposed to this venture.
And how committed are you, Mr. Fernando, to increase the lot of the plantation workers, to put it sort of mildly?
Well, I am committed to better their lot, provided they or we relate the wages to productivity.
Right.
In the past, wages have been determined by government several times.
Right.
So our cost of production is the highest in the world, and it's about 65 to 70% of the cost of production of a kilo of tea, whereas other countries are substantially less. If we can make the workers become productive, we can share the profits.
But sometimes, Mr. Fernando, it's heart-rending because when we travel, we see the Ceylon tea being sold in the finest supermarkets in the world and so on. But when we travel here, some of the stories we get out from the plantation workers sector are heart-rending, like the long walks these children have to make to get to school, like the long walks they have to go to get their basic groceries. What can you do, and what are you doing as this leader in the tea industry to better their lot?
Well, I have, for our companies, set an example by giving plantation workers, our workers, 1 acre, half an acre, 2 acres like that to develop on their own and send the leaf back to us. Apart from that, we have built child care centers so mothers can leave their children and go out to work. We look after them. We give them a glass of milk every day. We give them scholarships for their education. And I'm proud to say, for us at this stage, we have 2 children of tea pluckers who are doctors from medical college in September 2014.
Wonderful. That's absolutely laudable.
So
That's
we are
wonderful.
doing a lot more for them on our own. That is because I have a MGF Charitable Foundation, to which every one of my companies has to contribute 10% of its profits before tax.
Okay.
So we truly practice CSR.
Thank you. What I want to also ask you, Mr. Fernando, is if these people want to set up blending plants, there are other places on earth where the conditions are so much easier to do business.
Yeah.
Let's say like Dubai and so on.
Yes.
And it's only 4.5 hours flying. Why do they insist on coming to Sri Lanka? Is that the point?
Simple. If the government or the trade generally were to set up a beautiful factory in Dubai with all the facilities, and invite these traders who want to import tea, say go there and do your business. We will provide free freight for shipment of Ceylon tea up to that point. They will never take it.
Why?
Because they want the link with Sri Lanka.
Okay. I see.
As the word goes, distributors say, here's Sri Lanka. Here's Sri Lanka tea. Our people won't go and sell them. Other sellers, other buyers, other brokers sell this Ceylon tea. For example, I have now.
Let me come back to you, Mr. Fernando, to talk more about Ceylon tea and its purity. Join us after this break. Welcome back to the hot seat, where we're discussing the brand of all brands, Ceylon tea, with Mr. Merrill J. Fernando. Mr. Fernando, do continue. What were you saying about the blending?
They want the link with Ceylon tea.
Yes.
With Ceylon tea and Sri Lanka. Because to the consumer, to the broker, to the distributor in other countries, they will use that. Knowingly that it is a blended tea, they will say this is from Sri Lanka tea. We don't go and sell. Our traders who do this won't go and sell. And for example, our traders, they go to our customers and say, our plantations are next to Dilma plantations. This is the same tea and half the price, take it. So retailers tell me all the time, how do they do this? Then they have one retailer told me, do you know how much Mr. Fernando spends on sustaining this brand?
How much do you spend? That's the figure you mentioned.
Yes,
around $10 to $12 million.
Promotion and advertising of Ceylon tea under Dilma. In addition to that, in-store promotions in supermarkets, we spend about $3.5 million on those. But of course, the point is, we earn all that money from selling Dilma at the correct price.
What is, in a short message, what is your message to this government? What should they do?
The message my message is,
yes,
the tea industry has been semi-destroyed due to political decisions, from nationalization of planters up to today. Encourage, support and incentivize brand building. Pick 5-6 exporters and tell who are prepared to invest themselves rupee for rupee and build their brands. That is the only hope, because if we have 10 more brands like Dilma, prices in the auction will go right up. You know, the auction prices may drop, but the retail prices of branded tea never drop. So that is the strategy that the government must concentrate in. We don't need foreign experts to advise the government on marketing tea.
it's our brand.
Our brand. We can tell them how to do, but they must act. The trouble with the industry is, the finance minister says one thing, the plantation minister says that, the chairman says anything, everything, something different. There are
So what you're saying is they need to all sing off the same hymn sheet.
If they get together and say this is the policy, can you imagine? Sri Lanka's greatest industry has no plan. They make ad hoc decisions from time to time. We should have a 10-year plan for tea and a clear authority called the Tea Authority. Not so many government departments looking after one industry. One body, one authority, private sector expertise and government knowledgeable people from the show, set of regulations you can't do. And malpractices in the trade from plantations up to FOB must be stopped. For example, can you imagine for us, auction price of tea, say for example, is 500 rupees. Value added, we may sell at 1,500 rupees. But there are some who sell value added tea 300 rupees, 250 rupees.
How do they do that?
How do they do that? Does the government do anything about it? No. I have pointed out issues. Everybody is...
Is this substandard tea? Spoiled, old?
Yes, there is a grey market on which I was telling you there are 3 groups in the export trade. The third one is those who rely on the grey market.
Oh, I see.
They market anywhere, they rob tea, refuse BM Pennings or refuse tea is exported as FOB. For example, our previous minister went to a South American country and talked glowingly about Ceylon tea and so forth. Then he asked, what have you to say? They brought to the table several samples of tea shipped by our people, junk. Then the Iraqi government representatives came and saw our minister and said, this is the tea that your people have shipped. Absolute junk. They are cheating customers. So we are losing major buyers. And what has the government done? Nothing. If the government takes very active action to clean up the tea industry and regulate the tea trade and the tea exporters, I am sure the prices will start moving up steadily. And if proper value addition tied to Sri Lankan fully owned brands, we will sell our tea at the auctions at 1,000 rupees a kilo. That needs thinking, that needs vision.
At the moment, we're selling it at about how much? Around 700?
Now it is about maybe 350 rupees.
Oh, okay. On our show, Mr. Fernando, we tend to ask difficult questions, but it doesn't have to be difficult. You can answer if you wish. There are rumors, there are claims that you own a blending plant outside of Sri Lanka. So, for the record, can you confirm, do you own a blending factory of any sort, either directly, indirectly, by proxy or by any other means?
Absolutely not. This is a malicious rumor spread by a broker who is promoting this concept without any knowledge of trade. That's what he has done. He has told some ministers about it. They asked me and I told them this is a damn lie.
Thank you for being so upfront and open with us and the hot seat. Thank you very much for being in the hot seat.
Thank you for us.
Appreciate your invitation.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you.